Fusion is back, baby, but is it just another requel, reboot, whatever the movie industry likes to call it, or could this leave a lasting impact like Fusion used to? We're going to talk all about that 2-hour special debut right here tonight on Ring Respect Radio, and you know what that means? It means boom, just like that. It's Thursday night, and we're ready to party. Our names are the Video Bros. My name is Bobby Munson, and the man sitting beside me, he's the man with the angelic voice. He's Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, happy Thursday. How you doing, brother?
Woo, Munson, it's Thursday again, and I'm happy to be here for Ring Respect Radio, hosted by OLE and the Video Bros. What could be better on a Thursday night but some wrestling talk with the boys?
That's exactly right. You're at the right place if you love wrestling talk. And speaking of people at the right place, our boy Basser is at the right place on a Thursday night. Bass, how you doing, brother? Happy to see you here. And you know what? And on Thursday nights, we got to say hello to Zach Menger. He always swings on in, gives us a good old happy Thursday. And It's never a Thursday night without the Mangler in the house. Hello, Video Bros. Excellent shirt, Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, what are you rocking tonight for shirts? Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. The Exorcist. Classic. Ooh, love it.
Still scary. Isn't that still such a scary movie?
I absolutely love that movie. And again, it just the impact that it had back in the day. And I know a lot of people modern people can look at it and go, oh, it's not scary. And you got to take it into the context of what it is, right? Like it is frightening in the sense of like the you don't know, especially at that point, people didn't know as much as they know now about cinema. They didn't know as much about religions and stuff like that too, to the point where it was freaking people the hell out. The impact that movie had, and it still has. It is very well done, is very sharply written, and it is so perfectly performed as well too. It is an absolute classic. I can't ever get sick of watching The Exorcist.
For sure. And imagine how that hit in the early 70s when there had been horror movies, but a lot of them were B movies and kind of silly monster movies and stuff. This was a psychological screw job. Like this was so crazy. Hey, every time I watch that, just that very beginning where the priest is getting so nervous because there's those vandalisms at the church and everything, and it's the foreboding and the foreshadowing is just terrifying in that movie. My God, love it.
Oh, absolute thing of beauty. And you know what else is a thing of beauty, Papa Smokes? Is a little thing we like to call Prairie Pro Wrestling. And I'm telling you, we got a storm warning on our hands coming up on Saturday, June the 27th, live in Saskatoon. And man, Papa Smokes, we are damn near sold out on those reserve seating tickets. Might be a few still left, so you can still reach out and shoot your shot if you want to sit. But we just opened up general admission standing room tickets as of today, so you can get your tickets ahead of time. I wouldn't hesitate, man. This show will sell out. I guarantee you it will be wall to wall in that place. It's going to be hot as hell up in that place, and we're going to love us some wrestling. And I think I messaged it out here earlier today, Papa Smokes, and I almost have to look it up just to recheck it, but yeah, maybe I'll just guess at it. I believe I said that the PPW Nation, if they want to come out and root the champion on and try to keep getting him on the run that he's on, they should do that, because right now, as it stands, Sheik Akbar Shabazz still the longest reigning PPW champion in history at, I believe, 964 days, if I'm not mistaken. Michael Allen Richard Clark will be at about, I think it was 568 as of storm warning. So if you want the champ to keep riding the wave of success and try to overthrow that record, you got to get out. You got to sell that place out, and you got to make some noise. That's what you got to do. We got Melball up in the house here, Pop Spokes. Hello, Melball. Love seeing you here on a Thursday night. Thank you for joining us. Hey, and Bobby's back, man. Bobby's in the house. Says he just liked the video as well, too. Thank you, Bobby. We've missed you, brother. Bobby. Yeah, and on the topic of the movies, took Bass Jr. to the Backrooms Friday. Oh, dude, don't get me started. We'll be here all fucking night if you get me started on this stuff, Bass. Like, seriously, I loved the Backrooms. That is a mind trip of a film. And the fact that these are YouTubers that are getting into filmmaking. This is the guy who created the Backrooms YouTube channel, all the videos that you see on YouTube. And then he goes and actually gets the opportunity for a production company to make his movie for the big screen. It was so fucking good. I liked it so much. And just, it's so unapologetically weird and different and strange. And it didn't try to make it easy for an average going movie audience is the best part about it. It went for it. It did its thing. And I loved every second of that movie. One of my favorites of the year so far.
Oh, very cool, because I've seen the trailer a couple times and trying to figure out the whole shtick of what's going on in that movie. Of course, you can't really figure it out from the trailer. But what's interesting is that, what do you think's going on there, Munson? Is it the unconscious part of people's minds, or what's going on in that?
There's a lot of things you could say about it. There is some mild interpretation of what it is at the end of the movie, so I don't really want to say too much.
Okay.
Spoiler territory, but there's a lot of lore that you can go down the rabbit hole with when it comes to the Backrooms. When you check out the actual videos on YouTube, you can check out some people who have made some fantastic content explaining the Backrooms as well too. And there's that touch more explanation, but not too much explanation in this movie as well too. It still leaves you at the end of it going, WTF, and trying to figure things out. You're trying to solve all of this of what's going on, and you can make your interpretations, and it's almost like a piece of art that way, where it's left to the interpretation of the beholder at times. So really good. I highly recommend it. Obviously Bass and Bass Jr. do as well too. So if you're in for a thinking person's movie, something a little bit more interesting and unique that doesn't require jump scares or gore or violence or anything like that, this is just more of a mind trip of a movie, then highly recommend it. One of my favorite movies of the year so far.
Very cool. It sounds to me like it's one of those horror movies, especially are effective sometimes when the viewer is put in the position of the protagonist in the movie, so you know as much as he or she does, but no more than that, right? So you're kind of along for the ride. You're trying to figure it out as the protagonist of the movie is trying to figure it out. Very cool writing when they do it like that, and I'm guessing it's something like that.
To an extent, for sure. Yeah, you're on the right path there, Papa Smokes. And again, like, I don't want to ruin the experience for anybody. My recommendation is check the movie out when you have an opportunity. It's made like crazy amounts of money at the box office already for a movie that was on a lower budget to begin with. It's just proof once again that taking an opportunity on some of these young creators, these young directors. In fact, I heard someone say it best: the horror genre is in great hands with Gen Zs, is what it comes down to.
Okay, that's interesting too, because you know that I'm a horror movie fan as well. I sometimes check out what's on YouTube just for laughs, and there's a ton of stuff on there for free. And with newfangled cyber technology, I'll just call it. This is what us older folks will call that. You can make a decent looking film with iPhones and the effects and all the rest of that. So I've seen some pretty cool shorts, some creepy pastas and stuff like that. But I mean, now some of these budding directors that have an interesting vision, it's cool that they can get the platform to make a full film, put it out, and then get that reaction. Then that film's going to go on to inspire other young filmmakers, and on and on and on goes that creative wheel.
Yeah, and even some actual full-on film directors are starting to film with iPhones as well too, bringing that up. The movie that came out earlier this year, 28 years later, The Bone Temple, and the previous installment to it as well too, 28 years later, are both filmed on iPhones. It was a series of iPhones using different filters and stuff like that, a little bit more than what the average person has with their iPhone at home. But still, the fact that these cameras are getting better and better, that people with a creative mind can go out there and start producing stuff that is worth the time to check out. And that's why we love YouTube, man. That's why we love to make this stuff on YouTube, because we can create things for the people, and that's what matters. Speaking of people who create things for the people, our good friend Blair's in the house, Grain Maker Wrestling Podcast, and also the voiceover at Winnipeg Pro Wrestling. one of our favorite people. Blair, how are you doing, my friend? Good to see you out here tonight. And saying really enjoyed the 228 years later films. Excited for the third. Me too, man. In fact, the Bone Temple was like something else. Like the Bone Temple was phenomenal. Like it was so unexpectedly good. Like I expected good, but I didn't expect it to be as awesome as what I got out of that movie in particular. In fact, the Bone Temple might be one of my favorite in the series so far. It's definitely up there with the first one for sure. Thanks, cool. Bobby. Appreciate it, man. We can't do an amazing job without awesome people like you in the chat and all of our friends here tonight. It's awesome to see you guys talking horror. Would watch the full length Ring Respect. Maybe we should do that some night, Papa Smokes. We can get some horror talk on here. Get some horror experts in the house, stuff like that. We could do a horror-thon. It makes me think back to when we did that 4-hour thing that we did. It was a charitable thing we did on a different channel years and years ago. We watched some wrestling. Maybe we got to do something like that here. We could do a good solid 3-4 hour horror discussion or something like that on a Friday night while having some drinks or some sort of special Pop Smokes and Bobby plus friends horror chat here on the channel. I think that would be a hell of a lot of fun.
That's a heck of a good idea, Munson. And I was going to say probably the closest we've come to having a Ring Respect Radio horror movie was, speaking of MLW, a few years ago when you and I were trying to set up an interview with Mads Cruel Kruger. You remember this?
Yeah, I do.
And I was starting to get scared. I was really watching my words about Kruger, just thinking, my God, if I say the wrong thing, he's the kind of guy that's going to come through my screen and make me pay for that. Yeah, scary guy. And I was scared of that. That could be one of the scenes in our movie for sure.
You bet, yeah. And speaking of things from the past, Papa Smokes, you mentioned MLW, but one thing, in case you're watching us for the very first time or you're more familiar with our modern work as opposed to stuff we've done in the past, Papa Smokes and I used to do a lot of coverage of MLW, particularly MLW Fusion here on the channel. We have interviewed people that were working for MLW at times. It's always been something we really enjoyed, but it got harder and harder to keep up with some of the live ones that they were doing on YouTube and everything like that to make it a regular part of the channel, at least quick enough to make it worthwhile. So what we've decided to do tonight's all dedicated to MLW. We're going to talk about this 2-hour special. We're going to get that kicked off almost immediately here. But what we're going to do week after week is maybe if we do happen to catch MLW Fusion for that week, we'll give you a quick update. First 5 or 10 minutes of Ring Respect Radio on a Thursday night. Quick update about what's going on in the world of MLW. I got back into MLW during we did too. It was a little bit before that, and then during the pandemic era when they kicked back into it, they were doing some awesome stuff, very awesome stuff. We enjoyed watching it, enjoyed reviewing it. It was awesome. Loved it when it first started way back 20 odd years ago. Yeah, they've got a lot of great history there as well too. Great catalog of big names that have been through there. The title has had such great prestige as well. And we got a new champ. It's a new champ. It's a new era. It's a 2-hour special, and it's available on YouTube. If you haven't checked it out, you can go check out MLW's YouTube. I know there's another way that you can watch it as well too, but hell, let's not kid ourselves. Everyone's got a YouTube channel or a YouTube account these days. Go over to YouTube. Check out MLW Fusion's 2-hour episode. Bob Smokes, before we go into the details of this whole thing, this ended up 2 episodes is what it broke down to. They seemingly recorded this and it did this all up as the first 2 episodes, but decided to then put it as one single release to kick things off. Cheers, Papa Smokes. And that's what kind of kick-started this whole thing. So throughout it, you got commentary saying your main event when we're only halfway through the show. So there's technically 2 main events because this is 2 separated episodes. That confused me a little at first, but then once I realized what they were doing, it made more sense. These are matches that were filmed, I believe, at the Battle Riot in Miami, Florida. So that's why you kept hearing the Florida references. So this was at the exact same time that Killer Kross won the Battle Riot and took the MLW Championship as well too. So a lot of focus on this new era, this new champion. We had a lot of focus on some of the different things that they're presenting. They're really going all in on the featherweight division. We saw a lot of that being set up here as well too. But before we talk about the finite details, what went on, Papa Spokes, your immediate thoughts with this kickoff for MLW?
Yeah, I had the same kind of feelings as you watching it. You could tell that they filmed 2 1-hour episodes and then decided to jam them together and release it as a special 2-hour debut thing. That's fine. That's cool. Just like the episodes of Fusion we used to cover back in the pandemic and pre-pandemic days. Those were the good days, by the way. Wow, their roster was so loaded back then. And we learned of a bunch of awesome new wrestlers that I don't think either of us were all that familiar with. The Myron Reeds and the Laredo Kids and Zenshi and all those guys that we got such enjoyment out of. And Jacob Fatu with Joseph Samael as his manager and the whole Contra Unit thing. The Dynasty was a heel faction when we started. Hammerstone, Max Friedman, and Richard Holiday. Like, they had a good thing going on for a long time there. We watched it run out of gas a few times, just talent-wise. But watching this again just cements in my mind what I have always liked a lot about MLW is it's a good show to watch. It's a well-made wrestling show. And it's got its ads for the merch. And it's got its ads for the upcoming things and everything. It's all edited and put together, and the packages are good. The skits and the promos in the back are good. The matches always look pro. The matches they always present as fights. And the way they're announced and just the whole general aura of it it looks more like boxing or MMA, kind of the way they announce it and the way they present it, showing the chirons of the 2 wrestlers and then the tail of the tape, the height, the weight, where they're from, their style, their strengths, their weaknesses, all that kind of stuff. It gives it a legitimacy that makes it look like a real fight is going to happen, a real struggle between 2 athletes, both of which who are trying their best to win. It really does a lot to suspend that disbelief, depending on where you are in your belief of wrestling. But I mean, in the position that you and I are in, it really does help with that. It makes it look like, damn, like this is going to be an actual fight and a real struggle. And you and I have seen various of those MLW heavyweight title fights where it's the booking and the build up to it are so good that you just think, I can't decide where they're going with this. I can't figure out where they're going with this. I don't know who's going to win. Therefore, I'm on the edge of my seat watching this, cheering for my favorite, booing the wrestler I don't like, but it gets you involved. I love the way that MLW presents their show. It's very professional. Not a lot of other shows look like that for wrestling nowadays. MLW really has the leg up in that department, I think.
They certainly do. And this felt right back to home for me, watching this, the way it was set up, the way it was done. This presented like Fusion did quite a long time ago, even prior to when they started doing a little bit more of the crossover with the Azteca Underground stuff and everything like that. This felt more like Fusion prior to that, where you're talking about Dynasty and Contra and all that kind of stuff back then. This brought me back, and I liked that. But it brought me back, but at the same time pushed itself forward, which is nice to see. And that's where we see, the development of some new people, some new faces. We see more highlight of the featherweights division. So as we kick off, we got our first featherweight match of this first episode. Pricilla Kelly, which some people will know, formerly known as Gigi Dolan, taking on the ballsy badass Shotzi Blackheart, who we know has been on a tear in MLW, undefeated in MLW, which they did stress quite a bit throughout this. This was a great way to open up your return back into pro wrestling right now. These 2 ladies did a great job to kick off the show, while at the same time still presenting Shotzi as your most credible challenger to step up next to the championship as well, too, with the way that they've been building her. and at the same time presenting, in my opinion, Pricilla Kelly in a way where, okay, maybe tonight wasn't her night, but give her a little bit more time in MLW, and maybe her name will be in for that main event spot against the champion down the road.
Oh, could totally see that. And for an opening match, a ladies match, both of these competitors have a ton of experience. They've been around the indies and, had a cup of coffee or two in the big companies as well. We've seen Pricilla Kelly get up to all kinds of nonsense on the indies. Same thing with Shotzi Blackheart, and I've spoken highly of her recently when we've reviewed WPW and she appeared there. It's weird for me to talk about this because I've never been much of a fan of hers before, but since she left the big company and has been hitting the indies hard, I've gained a new respect for her and a new admiration for her because she's doing it all right. She's doing it like the old days of the traveling territory wrestler. She goes wherever she will get a booking and get payment and have a good match. So we watched her excellent work in WPW. That was the first time she kind of caught my eye as to, wow, she's good. She's not even going to lose a step from being released from the big company. She's just going to keep plying her trade all over the indies at a top level. And now we see her in MLW. And it's happy for me to see that MLW is really getting a steady stream of those wrestlers who leave the big companies. They're going to hit the indies, but they know that that's MLW is one of the big ones. It's probably a decent payday. I can't speak to what they get paid there, but there's a level of competition there. There's a level of viewership, amount of viewers that are watching this stuff. So for Pricilla Kelly and Shotzi Blackheart, it's a win-win situation. It's all gravy for those girls. So they got about 7 minutes in this match, and they made the best of it. Quite good. Both their presentations are awesome. Pricilla looks great in her red and black kind of heel outfit and the red hair. Shotzi Blackheart looks like she's out of a Tank Girl comic or something like that. She looks cool. They had a good match. Those girls have probably wrestled each other a whole bunch of times. They know what the hell's going on. Shotzi hits all those sentons that she likes to hit off the ropes, standing, and off the second rope and all that too. She's got the sentons down pat, and they spoke all the way through this match of the momentum she's building in MLW's featherweight division. She gets the pin in 7 minutes in this one over sturdy competition here too. So bang, Shotzi Blackheart getting a nice push in MLW, and you can't help but think she might get that belt around her waist at some point because the current champion has had that belt for quite some time, hasn't she, Munson?
It's a few shows ago, or and when I say a few shows ago, there's been quite the gap
months ago
recently.
Yeah,
so it's been, I'd say, at least half a year to pushing a year that she won the title. But maybe the stats man knows. Yeah, it's good to have him in the chat here tonight.
I bet you Bobby knows.
Yeah, but speaking about what's old is new again, Papa Smokes, I can't help but have a big old smile on my face because our favorite announcer of all time and our good friend Rich Bocchini shows up back in MLW on this particular night. He is there to interview Shotzi at the top of the ramp. Shotzi takes over the microphone and she challenges Shoko Nakajima for the MLW Featherweights Championship, but not only am I glad to see Shotzi shooting her shot, and we'll find out later tonight whether or not that's going to happen, but Rich Bocchini back in MLW really had me smiling there, Pop Smokes.
Oh, same. Nothing but good memories about Rich Bocchini, not only for his awesome play-by-play commentary. As we can see, he can be the stick man in the back and interview the wrestlers as well, but as a guest on our show, wasn't he one of the best ones? And wasn't that one of the best interviews for us where we could actually ask an expert at different kinds of sports and sports-related commentary? He gave us some tips. He gave us some encouragement and everything. And what a great guy, Rich Bocchini. I was also smiling ear to ear seeing him back.
Yeah. And I think we've got a little bit more clarity, and we didn't officially say hello to Astrid, even though we did the thing. But hello, Astrid. Thank you for being here. Imagine this show is from January. Yeah, this is the tapings from January that took place at Battle Riot that Astrid got to attend live. So you've got that gap from January till now. We got 6 months. But hear this out. Bobby did check, and the MLW Featherweight Championship changed on that would be on April 5th, then I'm guessing 4/5/25. So when Delmi Exo was defeated by Shoko Nakajima at the Battle Riot the previous year. So that is how long Shoko Nakajima has been the featherweights champion. Wow. But she has defended the belt in other companies across the globe right now. So it's not like because of the long gap that MLW's been on that the title hasn't been getting defended. She has been defending it around the world right now anyway, so to continue that momentum for the featherweights division. So interesting to see. The answer will come later in the show, so stay tuned. We'll get to that momentarily. Up next, we had a press conference featuring Killer Kross. The new champion comes out, and he has officially signed an anyone, anytime open contract. Come and sign it. He's afraid of nobody, and he doesn't care who gets in the ring with him as long as you're ready to bring a fight. Love it. This is exactly what I expect from Killer Kross. Short and to the point and badass as hell. That's what I want out of Killer Kross, and I got just that.
Yeah, very much so. And again, this points to what I was talking about before about MLW always making their fights look like big events, kind of. So a little sponsored by Don Gatto Tequila, little press conference there where Killer Kross is going to speak his mind, smoking a stogie while he's doing it, looking real cool. I've always thought Killer Kross was a very cool wrestler. I like him better on the indies than I do in a big company. I guess that's true of a lot of wrestlers, but he can be himself a little bit more here. Sends out the open challenge. Also says, and I quote, "I'll suplex you on your fucking head," which was a nice threat going out to. Oh, yeah. Really? All right. You were at that. Yeah, Astrid. It was well done. Yeah, I really thought that was cool. And you got Florida looked nice in the background there, too. But Killer Kross is serious about having that belt. He seems like he's happy that he has it. He seems like he's proud to have one of the more major heavyweight titles in wrestling. So here we go. That's good. We've seen Kross guest shot for MLW many times in the past, usually in the Battle Riot, but making little stops in there as well. And always seems weird that he doesn't stay or that he doesn't end up with gold around his waist. But this time, he's staying around. He's got the gold. And who's going to answer that challenge? I know Alexander Hammerstone is interested in it, but we're going to find out later in the first hour who's going to accept that.
Yeah, well, we know it isn't Hammerstone because we do see a segment backstage where he's roughing up Bocchini, trying to ask who signed it before him, getting very frustrated. Before we go to our next match, and speaking of Killer Kross, his wife, the Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux, is in action against Aleah James in this matchup. Again, since their return to MLW, and we know Scarlett has wrestled in the past, and they kept claiming Scarlett's been undefeated since her return to MLW as well, too. They couldn't stress that enough. And she has. They have actually been pushing Scarlett as well, trying to get her those victories, trying to get her those wins. And I think, in a sense, preparing her to be another one of those names that can be a challenger to the champion. Not necessarily that they're going to pull the trigger on Scarlett as champion, not saying they won't either. We'll see how that develops. But at least somebody that they have a name status there that they can keep that division rocking and keep it, as a promising division that they want to highlight on these shows. And it was definite here. I mean, there was a lot, like even in the next episode, we did get featherweight division stuff as well too, but definitely a lot of highlights on the featherweights here on this first half of the 2-hour special.
Yeah. And I'm all down with that because when MLW first started dangling the idea of a featherweights division, it seemed like they didn't go all in right at the beginning. It seemed like they were kind of, sticking their big toe in the water and seeing if they liked the temperature or not. And you remember they had Holiday and they had what's her name, a babyface from AEW. I can't remember the wrestler's name. She's real good. They had the Sea Stars with Delmi Exo, and they had some name, some talent out there, but they really didn't ever feature the ladies' matches all that much on the show. So it just it took 6 months or a year before they started like, okay, now we're bringing in a bunch of female wrestlers and we're going to get this division going. You and I have been cheering for it the whole time. And now as we watch these debut newly released Fusion episodes, there's all kinds of ladies matches on them, and they've got some talent, and they present them very well. So cheers to that. Applause to those guys, giving the ladies some time. Now, this particular match was 4 minutes and some seconds, but not really necessary to have a long match to put Scarlett over. I thought her opponent, Aleah James, looked pretty good. She was a pure babyface style out of England, and Scarlett also a babyface. So they had kind of a sportsman-like match. They wasn't any eye gouging or stomping on the head when anybody was down, anything like that, but a spirited, competitive match, which Bordeaux eventually won with a kind of a rear-facing pile driver type move. Gets the 1-2-3 over the much less experienced opponent, and then now also looks good for getting into that championship picture in the featherweight division. Now, I agree with you. Don't know if they'll have her as champion or give her a run or not, but what MLW needs is known names in their company so that wrestling fans that maybe aren't familiar with it can see, oh, Killer Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux are in MLW. Oh, Bishop Dyer and Donovan Dijak and whoever else you want to name. These guys are all in this company. Okay, there must be something to it, right? I'll check it out. That's, I'm sure, what MLW is going for. So the more familiar names they have in their company, really the better. That's true of many wrestling companies, but MLW kind of on that cusp of being a large indie company or a small major company in wrestling really needs those names.
Yeah, and while they have those names to carry in some fans and some eyes, they're also going back to one thing we did like about MLW, introducing us to people we don't know or might not know as well and seeing what they can do with them. And speaking on that, a video package plays next week, ZAMAYA making the MLW debut, but that would be on the second hour of what we're talking about. So we'll get to ZAMAYA very, very soon, but an interesting big video package. Next, we go backstage. Backstage brawl breaks out as the Skyscrapers walk past the Good Brothers. We know a lot of bad tension between those teams still brewing. Skyscrapers still holding the tag belts. Good Brothers wanting those tag belts. Well, is it possible that's going to happen down the road? We're yet to see. Now, from there, we get to what we'll call the halfway main event of the evening, a match scheduled for one fall.
One fall?
There we go. All right. So before we do, just a little disclaimer. I know that one of the competitors in this match is the equivalent of what people think a human piece of shit with a voice would be. So just ahead of time that there's people who don't like Mr. Austin Aries, and he's very well aware of it. And I'm sure everybody is entitled to call him whatever you want, and we will not stop you. In this match, he's taking on Trevor Lee, formerly known as Cameron Grimes. And when this one lined up, I had to really look. I'm like, why do I know who Trevor Lee is? Why does this guy look familiar? Who the hell is this guy? And then when I looked at him, I'm like, Jesus Christ, cutting your hair can really make a difference on a dude, because he did not look like Cameron Grimes the way I remembered him, but got into a very technical wrestling match here with Austin Aries. And that's the thing. Austin Aries, the person, might be the worst human being you've ever heard of. That's one thing. Austin Aries inside the ring, he's fucking good. Like that's the best part. Like, he's sharp in the ring, he's solid in the ring, and him and Trevor Lee put on one hell of a matchup here, Papa Smokes. Like, this was a fucking wrestling match. Like so good was this matchup that, yeah, I couldn't stop watching. It was back and forth, great technically. I kept thinking to myself, are they going to put Trevor Lee over and start to build a little bit on him? But then by the end of it, I'm like, I don't know if we even needed. It didn't matter who went over at the end. I'm like, these two put on such a great matchup that's what I'm going to remember. I'm not going to remember that Austin Aries picked up the victory. What I'm going to remember is Austin Aries and Trevor Lee had one of the biggest bangers of the year filmed back in January, but it was a hell of a matchup.
Very much so. And I would start off by saying I'm an Austin Aries fan. Now, when you say a lot of people don't like him and that he's possibly a POS as a person, I'm not exactly sure what you mean. I might be out of the loop. I hope you don't mean anything quasi-criminal or anything. I know that he speaks his mind in the wrestling business. I know that he's gone into business for himself and pissed off a few promoters in the wrestling business. That, okay, take that as it is. That doesn't really bother me because I admire a guy who doesn't get pushed around in the dressing room. Now, I don't know the circumstances of anything that happened. Maybe he was being an asshole, but I've always liked Austin Aries. He's vertically challenged and all that, but his skill is awesome. He's very, very good on the mic. He's even way better than that in the ring. And he's got an intensity that really can't be matched. Some of that old Ring of Honor stuff from 2011, 12, 13, when they had such a good roster with CM Punk and Samoa Joe and Bryan Danielson and the Briscoe brothers and all those tremendous talents, Adam Pearce and all those guys in ROH. Aries had some unforgettable matches back then, and I've always enjoyed his shit since then. So as a wrestling fan, I kind of just purposely block out some of the negative stuff about him. If it's really bad stuff, I suppose that would influence that. But he's one of those guys I want to just enjoy his work. It's crisp, it's technical, it's hard hitting, and he gives the idea that you don't know exactly what he's going to do at any time because he sometimes goes off script. If he doesn't like the script so much, it allows you to suspend that disbelief, and it allows you to immerse yourself in his matches because you never know what he's going to do. And he had some tremendously excellent moves in this match. Some of the ones that are part of his bag of tricks that he always uses, and then some new different stuff. Did you like that version of the abdominal stretch he put on where he took Lee's legs and crossed them and then had him around? I think that might have been because Aries wasn't tall enough to put the proper hold on him, but he's got to move. No matter what it is, he's got to hold or move, and he'll get you with it. That bullet drop kick to the corner is devastating, and still, to this day, every wrestler does a dive to the outside, a tope suicida, as they like to say. Aries is the best. Like, he does it so hard. He doesn't hold back. He slams the guy into the crowd barrier every time. He's intense, and I love his shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, this was a hell of a fight, and Trevor Lee looks awesome as well, too. Again,
he does.
It was fantastic. Great way to kick things off with episode 1. And so then we roll over right into episode 2, right on the same special. So just a little recap as per usual of what happened on last week's episode takes place at this one. Then we got the Skyscrapers. They roll on down to the commentary table, and they're going to join commentary. And I will say this before we even get to the match portion, the commentary I thought was better when Dijak was doing it than when Dyer's doing it. I like Dyer. Don't get me wrong. I don't dislike Dyer. I just think Dijak's a better guy on the microphone. When he was on there and he's really giving those passionate talks and stuff like that, you can believe him. With Dyer, he seems a little bit more nonchalant about it. He's a little bit more chill as a rough, tough, bad guy, right? Kind of thing. He bakes up for it when he gets inside that ring, because he is a badass in that ring, and he's a badass in real life when it comes to being a trained fighter and everything like that. I just believe Dijak that slight bit more is all I'm saying with the commentary.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that whatsoever. And as a heel wrestler coming out and getting the headphones on and the microphone, he did a perfect job of that. He wasn't backing up from the other commentators at all. He was just completely arguing his case and protecting him and Bishop Dyer as the tag team champions all the way. Also found it funny and a little bit MLW that the two tag team champions come out to do commentary, and there's only one headset for the two guys. It's the only one. Get on there.
They made fun of it so hard too.
Oh yeah, the Dijak rolls with it. It's perfect and everything, but I mean, it's the wrestling biz. Shit happens. Oh god damn it, we only put one, or maybe they only had one more headset. Who knows? But just a little tickle of the funny bone there for that one.
Yeah, no, I love that. And the fact that Dijak can roll with things like that is perfect. So they're going to be doing commentary during our first match. Was a tag team matchup, and it's great to see a rebuild of the tag division, because we're talking about those earlier episodes of Fusion that we used to review. The tag division was solid, and now it's looking even more solid. Skyscrapers are your champions. The Good Brothers are there. Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson lending their expertise in the tag division. Now we got the Coffey Bros, and now I know that not everybody's a big fan of the Coffey Brothers, or AKA the Gallus, Team Gallus from over in NXT days and stuff. And I'm sure Ed would probably just be losing his mind knowing that we speak positively about having them in MLW. But I think it's a breath of fresh air to have some legitimate tag teams. And that was the nice thing about this. We got some big boy bruiser teams in the tag division right now in MLW. I mean, you got your big guy tag team champions. Karl Anderson is the smallest of this whole conversation in this sense, but he don't work like the littlest guy in the fight kind of thing. I mean, he comes in like a big dog all the time, but then you got Doc Gallows, you got the Coffey Bros are a couple of big old boys as well too. And this was a rough, tough match. This was a great way to reinvigorate the tag division for MLW Fusion episodes. A good way to keep the momentum of the Good Brothers happening, as well as keeping the tag champs looking tough as well too. When they have the aftermath of the Skyscrapers attacking the champions, they've had enough, so they get off commentary, and there's a little bit of a stare down before they sneakily run back in and do the beatdown and everything. I like that they kick things off with a tag match here, Papa Smokes, and I like the fact that we're actually getting some legitimate tag teams instead of just some teams put together for the sake of filling a spot.
For sure. And I like that I'm not familiar with the Coffey Boys from before this. I haven't seen them on NXT or anything like that. You knew what was going to happen in this match. It was a TV match. You knew it probably wasn't going to be as long as a normal tag team match. It was obvious that Joe and Mark Coffey were going to do the job for the Good Brothers, because they're leaning obviously towards Good Brothers versus Dijak and Dyer for the tag team titles. That's obviously imminent. And yet, Joe and Mark Coffey didn't come across as job guys whatsoever in this match. I knew you would like them, Munson, because they talked about their rugby background from Scotland and everything. And they're some big, rough and tough boys. Boy, they look like some good old rugby punters, and they were tough and they worked well, and they look like they've been wrestlers for a long time. This is kind of my first time seeing them, and they worked just fine with the Good Brothers, which sure these two teams have worked before, but Good Brothers have a fairly stringent formula that they go through in their matches, and the Coffey Brothers were quite up to that. So this match is meant to push the Good Brothers towards that championship shot. It did exactly that. The Coffeys were big enough and strong enough to make it look like it was a struggle. The Gallows and Anderson pull it out of a hat. They make it happen, and there's your perfect TV match. It pumps the guys who are headed to the championship scene and doesn't completely crap on the job guys either. They both come out looking pretty okay from this, so Nice one. That'll do just fine for a tag team match.
Yeah. From that tag team match, we went on to another segment. This one was with Danny McBride doing a segment explaining the origins of Don Gatto and how he got his fortune, how he ended up creating his tequila. It was a fun little commercial spot for the sponsor. I thought it works for what it is. It was comical. It didn't take up too much time, and it was interesting to add in.
Yeah, and if you can make your ads interesting and entertaining, then you're doing something right. Danny McBride is hilarious. I've watched some of his work on TV in Eastbound and Down. Hey, Munson, did you ever play Grand Theft Auto 5? Because he's on the radio. He's on the one radio station in that. When you drive out of the city up to the country areas, he's on the radio in that. He's hilarious. I like him a whole bunch. I like the little vignettes that he's doing. And just like we were talking about before, it's a name, not a wrestling name, but a guy in movies and entertainment and TV and stuff. Danny McBride. Everybody thinks he's funny. So to have his influence on the show, not only in the ads for the Don Gatto tequila, but they were getting him to come to the tapings and such too, and showing him in the audience and everything. That's cool. You use the star power you can, use the crossover appeal that you can when you're not such a huge wrestling company. Get a celebrity. If you can get one to come to your matches, perfect. And Danny McBride's awesome for that.
Yeah. And Mobile saying that Anderson Gallows are doing really good at the tag league this year in Noah. And you can find out all sorts of stuff about Noah on the reviews that Melball does on Noah Unleashed. Check those out here on the channel. They're always worth checking out. Fun reviews of Noah to find out everything going on over there. And you're right, Bob Smokes. The addition of a celebrity is always good if it's done in the right way. And I feel that they do it in the right way with Danny McBride. He's not out there doing matches or anything like that. He's doing a sponsor spot like this, and it's funny. It is interesting, it's funny, and it worked. But going on from there, we go to our next match of the evening. This one interesting, and definitely can't wait to hear your thoughts on this, Papa Smokes. We got Diego Hill, who we did review once previously as well too, taking on Adam Brooks from Australia, a guy I'm definitely a big fan of. Before this match even started, though, they started playing a video package about the National Openweight Champion, Blue Panther, a video talking about his career, how he's, this big legend. He's become a mentor for people, including Diego Hill. And I'm like, oh, son of a gun, they're planning to push Diego Hill. They're planning to put Diego Hill over here, aren't they? Like, I kept thinking to myself, Brooksy's awesome, and I really enjoy his work, but I have a feeling that they see something in Diego Hill and they want to make something of Diego Hill as that young up-and-comer. And I'm not against that either, because, again, we've stressed in the past that MLW needed to start creating their own new people, their own new stars again, and they've done so well with it in the past. And after watching this one, I'm a little bit more convinced of Diego Hill, even if his style isn't what I normally enjoy all the time in wrestling. But you can really tell he's gone and studied more with those luchadors. He has this elastic-like body, so to speak, that seems to bounce off of everything in some of the most unique and interesting ways that I've seen a modern wrestler do. And when it's done in the way that it was done throughout this matchup, especially with somebody with the experience level of Adam Brooks, it felt like it made sense. And you could see that Brooksy sold it a lot in terms of the frustration level, where he would go to slap something on, but yet Diego Hill is so slippery and, able to bounce out of things and reverse things in ways that other people don't necessarily do, that the frustration was kicking in on the veteran throughout the match, which told the story that it needed to tell, and which is why Diego Hill was able to get this victory. I think that they did a good job of telling the story, even if it wasn't what I normally would have thought was the right decision. But I think that I'm sold on the decision they went with after seeing what they did.
Okay, that's a good way to put it, for sure. Yes, I was very glad to see Adam Brooks, because you and I have covered his work when we've done shows down in Australia, and I love to see him. Talk about a guy working the indies. He's come all the way across the world to America now to say, hey man, I can hang with the good wrestlers here as well. And as we can can see he certainly can. He's a journeyman wrestler of sorts, traveling across the indie companies and across the world, doing his thing, doing his wrestling matches. And here they've got him in MLW, and he's going to work with Diego Hill, who they're obviously developing as one of their young stars and are probably going to give a push to. But having said that, this was a 10 approximately minute match, but it felt a lot longer than that because they did a lot of stuff in this match. This match, I think, was primarily set about the contrast in styles between the two, because Diego Hill, very acrobatic, very nimble, very athletic, very dexterous, all kinds of different lucha type moves, planches and hurricane ranas and all that sort of thing. And then Adam Brooks, driven by anger, he's smash mouth, he's smash you onto the mat, rub your face into the mat, strikes, choking, all that heel style as well, but just a very gritty style. So it was neat to watch these two go at it. And as much as I knew before this match started that it was going to be a platform for Diego Hill, they set it up so well that there were times where I thought, oh shit, Brooks is going to win this. Like maybe I was wrong about my assumption. He did not, but that's the good setup of a match, is that a few close false finishes towards the end, and then getting Diego Hill as the winner within 10 minutes there. Very, very good. And like you said, MLW needs to keep growing younger talent, growing the new stars. Diego Hill looking good at this point. If I can say one thing about a clash style, Diego Hill's strikes look very poor next to Adam Brooks's. That's just something he's going to have to work on. I'm sure somebody's talked to him about that. I'm sure he knows, maybe he's working on it. That's not the cornerstone of his style, but next to Adam Brooks, who looked very, very unusual. But at any rate, the other thing I was going to say about this is they were talking about Blue Panther as the openweight champion, and I thought, okay, that's got to be the son of Blue Panther then. No, it's not. It's the old guy. He's 66 years old or something like that. He looks awesome. Like, he really does. And the clips and such. That's for a guy that's 66. He's still doing flying head scissors and all that kind of stuff. But wow. But there's a name you've got holding one of your belts, and maybe it's not the same as it used to be. Like, what did they say his rookie year was 1975 or something? Good Lord, man, he's not only old, you're from a completely different generation, but well, all joking aside, cheers to him, hats off to him. What a man and what an athlete. And if it is going to be the end of his career, what a way to go out with the eyes of a lot of people on you and holding a belt that means something in wrestling still.
Yeah. Well, and again, we know that Aries has challenged him for the championship. Are they going to go that direction? Or, like, I almost feel like they got to find a way to get it off of Blue Panther to a heel so that eventually they can build. I foresee it being somebody, if it's not Diego Hill, but it could be somebody else. Diego seems to be that one that would make sense, seeing as it's same with the path of his mentor. You could have his mentor in his corner when he wins it, something along those lines. But Diego Hill, I think, also would do great for the middleweight division of MLW. I think that's where he would really shine, be perfect with the middleweights.
That's what I thought too. I assumed that they were going to put him in that. We'll see what happens. They can juggle it around still at this point, but probably shouldn't wait too long on Blue Panther. He better get out there defending that while he still can.
Yeah, exactly. So after that, we had a video package reminding us of the undefeated run of Shotzi and the challenge she set for Shoko Nakajima. Shoko Nakajima is then brought in by Satellite to answer the question, and yes, she is accepting the challenge of Shotzi Blackheart. We will get that match next week on MLW Fusion, and by next week, I mean this Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. my time. I can't, whatever. Sometime in the evening on Saturday, you'll be able to watch that matchup. From there, we had a interruption from Contra Unit, Papa Smokes. We can't forget about Contra Unit. They're still lurking in the background. And this video, this was an interesting one. The broadcast gets interrupted, mentions about Mods Kruger's run with Contra Unit. He was the hired mercenary, and now he has to pay the ultimate price for his betrayal. And now he sleeps as they show that mask going down and kind of like melting into that, whatever that was that they had there, that acid or something like that. That was a really well-produced video. I thought that was a nice, beautiful touch on this thing.
They always do a good job on those too. And of course, that's not the first time we've seen Mad Cruel Kruger melt into some kind of toxic sludge, because you remember that Weapons of War match or whatever it was that he had against
weapons of mass destruction.
Right. And it ended with Fatu putting his head in that kind of container of some sort of radioactive waste or something. And we didn't see Kruger for a while after that.
He always comes back, though. He always comes back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But we're looking forward to that match as well too, Bobby. Should be a good one this coming Saturday, of course. After that video package, finally we get this debut. In fact, we got to see a couple of people we're unfamiliar with. Carolina Cruz taking on ZAMAYA, I believe is the way it's pronounced. So we'll go with ZAMAYA anyway. And all I got written down here, Papa Smokes, is message received. ZAMAYA is dangerous. ZAMAYA dominated this fight. Carolina Cruz was there respectfully to put ZAMAYA over as one of the next big names in the featherweights division. She basically took this fight to the floor, removes that padding, beat the ever-living hell out of Carolina Cruz, and makes an absolute statement. She's got a completely different look than anybody else on the roster right now, and goes in with that kind of attitude. Okay, you've got my attention. I liked where this went.
Yeah, same. And there was nothing fancy about this match. This was another short one, 4.5 minutes or something like that. Thought Carolina Cruz looked perfectly good as a as a challenger, so to speak. But ZAMAYA, I kind of like it. I've never seen or heard of her before. When I saw her still picture in the previous episode, she reminded me of Luna Vachon a little bit. During this match, I get more of Bull Nakano, Dump Matsumoto kind of vibes from her, with the ears standing up, the wild makeup, the crazed expressions on her face and stuff. She's not a big strong woman like those Japanese wrestlers I just mentioned, but she's got that intensity, and it's clear that MLW wants to smash her over as a Road Warrior style, as a destructive force that can't be stopped, and that's exactly what she was in this match. So again, we've already talked about the featherweight title. Where's ZAMAYA going to come in this scene? Because it doesn't look like she's going to do any long matches or do much selling in the near future. So we'll see where she comes in on this too. She'll for sure be in that title picture sooner rather than later, probably.
Yeah, and I mean, I decided to try to check and see, if ZAMAYA was maybe somebody I didn't recognize from before, repackage, anything like. She's fairly new to the business, so this is again MLW taking somebody that's fairly new to the business and saying, let's make a statement. And I like that. Again, we're getting that opportunity to see some new faces, some new up and comers. So they have this great blend, almost this great fusion of old and new going on in these episodes. Yeah, that's a bad pun, but I'm going to use it anyway. After this matchup, after that great debut, Matt Riddle does a promo. Yay, Matt Riddle. That he was the one that signed that contract. Apparently, the Stoner can get to signing his name a lot faster than Hammerstone can. Says that Hammerstone is nothing more than a big baby about not getting to the contract in time, which only makes me believe that when we get Matt Riddle and Killer Kross, that there is a definite chance that Alexander Hammerstone is going to be sticking his nose in the business of Matt Riddle that night, and most likely making sure that Matt Riddle does not walk away a two-time champion in MLW. So
you see that, but once again, they're stirring it up for that world title scene, and it's more fun when there's just not only just two people involved, a champ and a challenger, but more than 2 because we know everybody's chasing that belt.
Yeah. All right, but last but certainly not least on this 2-hour New Era debut special from MLW, it's time for the main event of the evening. This match scheduled for one fall.
One fall?
And it is Alex. He's changed it. It's now Alex Hammerstone taking on Bishop Dyer. Yes, the former MLW Heavyweight Champion, Alex Hammerstone, taking on Bishop Dyer. Couple of guys I really enjoy, and they did not disappoint. This was a big man fight in this main event, but not only was it big man fight, these guys did some great stuff throughout this thing too. Just once again proving how damn good Alex Hammerstone is inside of a professional wrestling ring, especially for a guy the physical size that he is, how clean he handles some of the stuff that he does too, and the fact that he can maneuver some of these guys, like some of the moves he's doing to a guy the height and size of Bishop Dyer is not easily obtained by just anybody in this business, but Alex Hammerstone does it to absolute perfection. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, they seem to have a lot of use of Hammerstone throughout this first episode. Are they planning for him to be another top guy again? Because they hadn't really pushed him since coming back into that kind of position. It didn't feel like the Hammerstone that threatened the world championship at one point in time. But again, this is a bit of a repackaging. Now we're getting used to heel Hammerstone, an angry Hammerstone, a vicious Hammerstone, and I like it. It's worked well on the indies. It's working well here as well, too. I thought this match was awesome from these two guys. We also could have had a lot of shenanigans. Dijak comes down with a chair, but the Good Brothers get to him first, so no outside shenanigans, but it was enough to create a distraction. Hammerstone hits a power bomb and gets a pinfall victory and a big win here to see off this return of MLW Fusion. Your thoughts on this main event, Pop Smokes?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was worthy of being a main event. This match was 2 experienced competitors, but they didn't try to do anything overly fancy. It was a 9-minute match, something like that, which is perfect for a TV match. 2 big boys slapping some meat around. I mean, Bishop Dyer's 6'8", 270 pounds or something. Alexander Hammerstone, 6'3", 275 or something. These are some big boys. And I appreciate that about MLW, that they try and get some big, meaty guys in this company. Because as fans, we like to see the big people. We like to see the big dudes. Wrestling's always partly been, a little bit of that freak show aspect where you get to see the giant, huge men or the giant, huge women that are athletes and professional wrestlers. This was good. Meat was slapped. There was a couple of big moves that I really, really liked, including a Death Valley driver by Bishop Dyer. Whew, did that have some impact with those 2 big guys going down? There was a ton of good stuff, some chops. Hammerstone still uses some aerial tactics and babyface style, even though he's questionably a babyface at this time, but he gets away with that at 275. And wow, just a big blasting match between 2 huge guys. This was intended to be a win for Alexander Hammerstone, keep him in the heavyweight title picture. Bishop Dyer doesn't hurt for this victory because he's won half of a tag team, so it's okay if he eats a pinfall, no big deal. And they also got some mileage out of having Dijak come out and the Good Brothers attack him. So 2 amounts of hype for the price of one in one match. And for a main event, they go off the air with all their stuff hyped. They've got their new stars with some wins and some good appearances. And then they've worked their angles as well. So all the fans are caught up and all the fans are ready for this new era that begins with this 2-hour special. It was easy to hop in. They explained everything that was going on. Feels like the beginning of some new story arcs. So let's see where this goes. I was glad to get back to MLW again because I'm always interested in their product and I always hope they're doing good. I was sad when they weren't as watchable for a year or two there. But I'm always glad to pop back in and check on this, and I'd be glad to do it more often, as you suggested earlier, because it seems like this is another good little period for MLW.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Papa Smokes. I like a lot of what they're going on. Again, I like some of the big names they've got. I like some of the up and comers that they're pushing. I like the direction that it's going. It feels like the Fusion we really enjoyed before. So if that's the way it's going to go, then I am more than happy to check it out. And especially with this week, I believe Saturday's got both the titles on the line with the tag belts between the Good Brothers and the Skyscrapers, as well as Shotzi getting the chance at Shoko Nakajima for the featherweight championship coming up this Saturday. So another banger card, in my opinion. You know, there'll be another match in there, but it's awesome. I'm happy to be back to it. And again, I know we can't cover it week after week. Our times just won't match up to be able to cover this every time. But what we can do is just add is a little bit of a segment on Ring Respect Radio. First 5-10 minutes, touch base, talk about what we saw in Fusion, talk about a couple of the highlights, and then we'll get into your main topic of the night. I see no harm in adding that as a 10-minute segment each week.
Yeah, I'm totally down. And with this debut episode of the new era, as they call it, I'm invested. As soon as they started announcing the card for next week, I want to watch it. So we'll watch it. We'll scuttlebutt a little bit about that at the beginning of next episode and in future episodes. And totally down with that. Glad that MLW's hitting their stride again.
100%. Yeah, can't wait for more, but we are over the hour, so we're going to wrap things up, and we're going to start by putting that beautiful ticker on the screen, the one that belongs to Papa Smokes, as he tells you where you can find him and what he's got coming up.
All right, everybody. I'm here every Thursday night at 7 o'clock my time. I don't know what it is in all your times, but you're watching it right now, so you know. And I can be found outside of that at Elon Musk's free speech wonderland known as X. I am at smokes_Papa. Also on Twitch, allegedly at least, as Papa_Smokes_.
That's where you're going to find Big Papa. You can find myself, Bob Munson, and all the credentials down below. Check me out over there. You can also find me back this Sunday. Yes, we had to skip a week of Point of View because I was out and about celebrating my wife's birthday over the weekend, so there was no Point of View. But, hey, we're going to have a jam-packed episode for you this Saturday. Myself and Andre were already talking. A lot of things happening in the world of footy as we're leading into the World Cup, but also teams are making moves for managers, for players, all the things. We got to talk about where we landed with our predictions from the English Premier League from last year. Did Andre manage to predict better than I did? You'll find out this Saturday. We've got NFL news. We've got all sorts of stuff. NBA playoffs or NBA finals, hockey, NHL. Yeah, it's all a buzz. All a buzz this Saturday.
Finals. Stanley Cup Finals. Munson, Las Vegas versus Carolina. Woo-wee. One game's down already. Vegas takes the nod in the first one, but it's going to get wild.
Yeah, it is crazy too, because I never thought Vegas was making it all the way or even having a crack at it, but they're there nonetheless.
No one did.
Yeah. But you can also catch myself and Pop Smokes if you like what we do here. You can catch us every Saturday on Prairie Pro Wrestling's YouTube channel, where we got a brand new match coming at you every single Saturday afternoon, and we will be there to commentate those things. So check out Prairie Pro Wrestling over on YouTube. You can also check out all the great content here at our local establishment. You saw in the chat earlier today, both Astrid and Melball there. They do great stuff here. You know what Astrid does? Taking over. And she also does killer cuts with me as well, too. And then you've also got Melball doing Noah Unleashed in strong style fashion. Check these shows out. They're great. Mangler, thank you for being here with us. Always appreciate you, my friend. But these shows can all be caught at our local establishment. The ticker down below is going to tell you where you can find us on all social media, where we're also on YouTube and Twitch, where we are partnered up. Twitch, you can give us a follow. You can also give us a sub. You give us a Prime sub. That helps us out. Over on the YouTube side, it's great if you could subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, give this video a thumbs up, and leave your comments in the comment section below if you're watching on replay. But other ways you can help. We got super chats for when we're live, just like this. You can donate to the show as we're live each and every week. But one thing I got to stress, and I can't stress this enough because this one costs you nothing at all. You got a mobile phone and you got a YouTube channel or a YouTube account anyway. All you got to do 24 hours after this show has gone off the air, it will be eligible for those hype points. And you just got to scroll across the screen and give hype points. Every single week, you get 3 opportunities to give hype points to your favorite shows and creators. And we want you to share that love here at our local establishment, and especially share it here on Ring Respect Radio, where twice Pop Smokes and I have been in the top 100 Canadian hype charts, and we want to keep that momentum going. So share that hype, share that love, and we will see you next week for more Ring Respect Radio. Take care.